This is a discussion about shaving down a cowl, specifically the Brocken-Gigant cowl for an SFM or CFM car. So here, in the first picture, we have a situation where the side dampers are below the side mounts on the chassis. So the cowl itself clears. It basically rests on top of the side stays, the side protrusions from the chassis. And yeah, no modifications are needed here. Now, the big problem with this particular setup is the fact that, as you see there, the side dampers are dipping a little bit, and you have to basically either remount the side stays so that they'll appear level, or turn the whole chassis upside down and just rest it like that so it will naturally kind of like sink back to a flat horizontal position. So let's try mounting the side stays on top. So that's a different kind of technique, and various racers out there will attest to the superiority of mounting the dampers on top versus the bottom. So in the bottom you have a little bit of dampening effect there, not just from the mass dampers, but also the fact that the side stays dip a little bit and absorb the vibration. But if we mount them on top, it's going to give you better absorption. But the big issue is the cowl going to clear? No, it's not, as you see in the fourth image. Basically, you'll see on the rear, on the fifth picture, that the cowl itself, there's a little bit of gap between, or a lot of gap, between the cowl itself and the chassis. And if you press down on that, then you can see what the issue is. You can see that the side stays, they interfere with the cowl, the movement of the cowl. In other words, that stay should not be moving. It should just rest on top of the chassis itself or whatever is attached to the chassis. So if you have a side stay attached to the chassis, the side stays of the chassis, then what you want to happen is you want the cowl to basically rest on top of it without interfering with the side stays at all. So what we need to do is basically shave, as you see in the next picture, shave our cowl like we have on one of our other cowls, on Ninja, which is my other FM chassis car. I had to shave the sides of the cowl so that it would fit my setup. And this is what I have to do, basically. I have to basically draw a line and kind of block out the part that I want to shave off. And I'm going to use a Dremel for this purpose. You can use any sort of device that kind of sands down the cowl itself. So I used a Dremel with a rough cylindrical kind of tip, and I was able to shave down the sides so that you get what you see on the next image. And so now there is no interference with the cowl and the side stays. Take a look at the rear of it now. The rear now closes properly. The cowl itself rests properly on the chassis itself. And when I do the push test on it, the push test shows that there is very little to no interference with the cowl and the side stays. So that's pretty cool. And the next test here is a drop test. So I'm dropping the car, and here you can see that it's landing. It's landing. It's not landing perfectly, as you see here. There's a little bit of like up bounce on the right side of the car. By right side, I mean if you were looking at the car from the top down, where the motor's towards the top and the rear of the car is towards the bottom, then the right side of the car kind of like pops up a little bit. And what was happening there was I didn't shave enough of the cowl off on the right side. So after I did so, then the car lands a lot flatter. So you can see in the final video clips that the car is landing a lot more flat now. And I'm only testing it right now on this kind of like mouse pad surface, which is kind of rubbery. But now let's move on to a like hard floor, like hard tile floor. You can see that this car is landing pretty flat. And so yeah, much improved. If I did not shave the cowl down, then trying to secure the cowl onto the chassis itself would have pushed both side stays down at an angle down, and that's not what you want. That's interfering with the side stays. So by shaving it down, it's no longer interfering. You also want to basically carve out a small space so that there's free movement of the mass dampers. And also you want to make sure that the cowl doesn't interfere with the side stays so that there is a dampening effect with the overhead. I'll call it the overhead hanging side stays because that's basically what it is at this point. Now, look at how I've attached the side stays to the chassis. It's got these 2 points right there, 2 screw holes, and there's a method that you can use to attach the side stays to the chassis. And it's not going to be very apparent unless you've had a lot of practice and experience doing this. So you have to basically adjust your screws into the chassis, so through the side stay, through the chassis at angles. So the main outermost screw is going to be perpendicular, straight up and down, or if you can get it to be straight up and down, that would be perfect. And the other one, the one that's more inset, is going to be at a slight angle. And you're going to have to basically screw little by little each screw into the side stay. It's not going to be like an all or nothing. It's not going to be like I'm going to screw one screw in first and then the other screw. No, it doesn't happen that way. If you want to get this to work, you have to basically do like 2 to 3 turns on each screw to slowly get the screws in place to secure the side stay properly so that the side stays are flat and parallel to the chassis itself. So yeah, pro tips there. So we basically learned about shaving the cowl as well as attaching side stays onto this. And there is a very famous sensei who basically suggested this idea of the side stays like this. His name is Shell Shock, and he actually got this idea from another sensei who basically suggested that this on top approach is better than the below the chassis approach. So I'm not sure what the dampening technique is called. It's, if you can name it after the last name of the person, that's probably the correct thing to do. But yeah, I'll just call it the over-the-top side stay. And yeah, it's a very effective technique. It's definitely helped me win a race, a backyard race recently.